Welcome to Tech Brothers. In this video, we're going to understand locking in SQL Server. Locking is pretty hot topic in SQL Server, and in my opinion, everybody should really understand back what's going on back behind the scene when we talk about locking in SQL Server. In this demo, we'll be learning brief overview of resource types. When I talk about the resource types, that means where the SQL Server can place the lock. What are the things that SQL Server can go ahead and lock? That is called in SQL Server locking world resource types. And number two, brief overview of lock modes. What kind of lock can be placed on these resources right here, and we'll be discussing that. And then we will go and once we understand number four right here, that what are the resources and what are the lock modes and what it means each lock mode, and then we'll go in our live database and see all those lock placed. Once we understand, as soon as we'll take a first look on the locks, we will understand right away what it means, what's happening back behind the scene. Because being a DBA, you know, your SQL Server is there for data, and a lot of applications are accessing it, and how that's happening. If you run into a locking situation, you need to understand which lock is basically okay and which lock is not okay. So let's go ahead and talk about lock resources. As I said, that lock resources means that where the SQL Server can place the lock. What are the things? In first up here is RID, which means row identifier. That means that each SQL Server can place a lock on a single row in a table. So it can go ahead and place a lock. That is our first resource. SQL Server has a tendency to go ahead and lock the row. And the second is the key lock. That means that we usually have indexes on our tables, and if there is a key lock, that means a single row within that index. So keep in mind that you understand the difference between RID and key. When we talk about RID, we're talking about the row in a table, and when we talk about the key, that means each row within an index. Index gets stored on the, if it's a clustered index, depends on the type of index, they do get stored on the disk as well. So SQL Server has a tendency, or has permission to go ahead and lock each row within that index, and that resource is called key resource. The other is page. All the data that is in SQL Server gets stored in terms of pages on the storage. So page is 8 KB. So SQL Server can go ahead and basically lock a page in the database. So this becomes one resources as well for SQL Server to go ahead and lock it. And other is extent. Extent is basically combination of pages. 8 pages together makes an extent. So SQL Server can go ahead and lock the entire extent. That means 8 contiguous pages makes an extent, and SQL Server can go ahead and lock the entire extent. And the other thing that SQL Server could do is go ahead and lock the whole table. And when we talk about locking the table, that means it's locking the data in the table, as well as it's locking the indexes on that particular table. So next thing that SQL Server can lock is DB. So we understood the lock resources where SQL Server can place the lock. Let me go through little quick now. Row identifier. Key is a single row within an index. Page is 8 KB. Extent is 8 pages. Table is entire table including data and the indexes, and DB is entire DB. Now let's talk about lock modes, and I have just put in MS Paint right here because sometimes I think that I need to draw something. My drawing is not all that great anyway, so if I need to draw something to make you understand, to explain a little better, I'll try my best. So first up here, lock mode, you will see in database, if you ever ran into looking into the locks, you will see a lot of S locks right here, the shared locks. Let me do this. So you will see the shared locks. Shared locks means that any operation that is not modifying SQL Server data or the schema, that would be a shared lock. So this would be in easy terms for us that a select can place a shared lock on a table. If you're selecting a database, it can place a shared lock on a database. This is not, this is very common lock, and this is the first lock. Keep in mind, a lot of folks that I've read a lot about locks in my days too, but I think that you know, a lot of folks, what they missed was that every time any lock happens, it starts from shared locks. That's what I noticed. Every next lock, if you ever heard the term lock chaining, you know, lock chaining starts from the shared lock. So this is the basic lock that SQL Server can place. Anytime there is a bell that, oh, I need something from such and such database, that would be that for SQL Server Engine, it would mean, oh, okay, I'll go ahead and place a shared lock on that, so that, you know, database or table entity would know that I am coming to get something from you. And that means that I'm not changing anything, but I'm coming there and reading some of the data. That would be our shared lock. And it's very common, and don't worry about if you see a shared lock. That is actually basically a good thing, that if you see a lot of shared lock. But our next type up here is update log. So this is where I need to draw something. Basically, update logs up here is U type. In database you will see that U. But update logs are there to prevent the first type of deadlock. So I will go in much more detail of deadlocks, but let me make you understand that where the update lock came from. So here is my transaction 1. Here is my data right here, and this is my transaction 1, and this is my transaction 2 right here. And this transaction here from something that, oh, I need to look in something on table 1, and say, okay, I'll go ahead and place a shared lock, as I said, that anytime when you get it gets in the transaction that I need to do something on table 1, let me put it table 1 here. So I'll go ahead and put a shared lock. At the same time, keep in mind we're talking about at the same time, transaction 2 gets an order saying I need to do something on table 1. So both are, so let me go ahead and put a shared lock. So now table 1 is transaction 1 is thinking the same thing, and the same time transaction 2 is thinking the same thing. Now what exactly do I need to do? Transaction 1 asks, so it means the answer comes, okay, you need to update something in table 1. And transaction 2 at the same time asks, what do I need to do? And that's the same answer. You need to update something. Now it says, okay, since it's update, let me put an exclusive lock. That means that I am everything. Once I put X on this table, it belongs to me. I am the owner. Now nobody can access until I'm done with this table. Same thing with this. It's coming in and it's saying, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna place exclusive lock on this table. So now SQL Server Engine comes in, and Engine says, oh well, I'm not compatible with this situation. You know, this situation is not something that I like. I don't want you guys to, you know, go ahead of me. I have a process. What SQL Server at the same time tells this transaction and this transaction, wait. SQL Server Engine tells this transaction, wait for T2, transactional 2 to finish. Then you can go ahead and do whatever you need to do. And transactional 2 right here, it orders the same things to transaction 2, wait till transaction 1 finishes. Now these two transactions are waiting for each other. They are not doing anything. Nothing is happening to table 1. They're just fighting with each other. So here comes, we talk about deadlock. So they both basically waiting for each other, and nobody is doing anything, but they're locking the resources in a way that, okay, once this is placed, when you understand a little bit more, we go down, you will understand that once exclusive lock intent exclusive lock is placed up here, then no other transaction basically go ahead and do anything, but they are just waiting for this. Any third transaction comes in, it's got to wait till these two guys are finished. So this is where we run into the first type of very basic type of deadlock. So in order to prevent this particular first type of deadlock, there is something called update lock right here. So once the update lock, once instead of running into this situation, SQL Server does this. Okay, let me give you T1, let me give you updatable locks. So that means that this guy is not really waiting. It's in a way it's waiting, but it's waiting. This one is not waiting. SQL Server engine went ahead and gave this guy priority, saying, okay, go ahead and place ulock. That means this, whenever this guy transactional 2 will see that it's a ulock from this guy, okay, let him finish, and they will actually get in line, basically, that okay, let him do his work and let me do my work. However, I can't do anything until this guy is finished. So that is where the concept of up here is update lock. Keep in mind, is just there for a little bit to prevent from deadlock situation like this. Okay, so once this happens, that update lock acquires, now here comes the operation. What do I need to do? I know that I'm going to update, but update what? As soon as SQL Server engine sees that it has update lock, and next thing that it needs to modify something, right, in the table. So as soon as modification comes in the picture, X comes in the picture, exclusive lock. Exclusive lock means, okay, I got the ownership. Nobody can do anything on any of the resource. Keep in mind, these resources can change. Like exclusive lock can be on key, can be on page, can be extent, can be table, can be database. So keep in mind that any of the resources can become the victim of these lock modes right here. So what I'm saying is that update lock is there to prevent the situation getting messy here, but it doesn't stay there for long. It's just for a fraction of a second. Once this turns into exclusive lock, which takes us to our third mode right here, which means that okay, whatever the operation is happening, no other transaction can do anything once this is acquired. So if you see X lock, that means the operation, update operation, delete operation, insert operation, something like is happening on your table or row or particular page or particular extent or whatever the basically the resource up here is. So just so that you know that this is something, this is a superset, this is super guy at that time when exclusive lock happens. Now we next up here, this guy is very important too. Now when exclusive lock happens, let's say that it's on a row, 3 rows, exclusive lock is on row ID. So basically we have 20,000 rows in a SQL server in a table. So first 3 are being exclusively locked by a transaction, and the next it still won't let you do anything. However, a person can come, just like we go in Social Security office and we take our number and sit and wait, right? The same thing happens here in SQL Server world. It's called intent. It says that, okay, I intend to basically, I want to read something. I know that you are sitting X right there and will not let me do anything, but let me tell you that I need to read something here. Once you're done, please let me read I'm not going to touch what you are doing right here, but underneath rest of the rows that you're not placing the lock, I need to read that. So once this order comes in, that means it's a shared, as we saw that up here, that this is mostly a select operation. That's intent shared. That means that I have intention to read some data, not all, but some data. But once this is placed, then this transaction will take precedent and can read. And next thing is that, okay, I need to do some modification on this table, but not all of it. Some of the rows I'm going to update or modify, but not all. So let me tell you, I need to do something to it. So basically that means intent exclusive right here. These are the basic locks, and then after that we run into priority and situation like that, and that's where we the modes gets more, the lock chains go way bigger. So it means that, okay, I have intent exclusive, which once this guy get into the table and start doing modification, it goes back basically to X. It doesn't stay here for long, but until it's not available, it's gonna stay here, and it's gonna say that, okay, I need to modify, so it's my turn. You can't do anything about it. So up here, this is a shared intent log. In shared intent exclusive lock means that I need to read all the resources of this table. I need to read all the rows, but I need to, at the same time, I need to modify something in not all the rows, but 3 or 4 rows I'm going to modify. However, I need to read all the rows. So once this is, it's also called 6. So shared intent exclusive, only one 6 can be placed on a table. Only one 6 can be placed on a table. And this is basically, when we talk about intent, that is higher level lock. So it is placed only on the tables right here. So this most of the time this goes back to right here. So table. So it goes intent, whenever is intent, it mostly means table. So next our here lock mode is schema. Schema has schema, as you know, that the DDL changes. Any adding column, dropping column, changing the data types of a column, and dropping the table, all that comes as a schema changes. Now there are two types of schema lock modes. One is schema modification right here, and other is stability right here, schema stability. So let's talk about schema modification. Schema modification, from the name, it shows that either the column is being dropped or column is being added on that particular resource right here. Mostly the resource is table or index, so or database basically. So this is modification. If the modification is going on a schema, then basically nothing else can be done. So this is a kind of dangerous type up here, schema modification, because DDL is changing the schema of the table, and it's not good to read the data. It's not gonna actually basically. So you're seeing right here, when I talk about this whole scenario, that why locking is very important for us, in order to have our data more granular. So really it is not our enemy, it is there to help us. And the other thing up here is schema stability. Schema stability comes in when there is a compiling going on. So usually if you will see this schema stability lock in dev environment, where a lot of developers are developing the code and they are go ahead and compiling it, or in production if there is some change in store procedure or in any of these right here, and compiling going on, then you will see the schema stability lock right here. So this is the schema. If schema stability lock, all the operation can come and select, and it's basically shared. If a schema stability, any other transaction, even exclusive lock can be placed. However, modification will have to wait. If it's going to be modified, that cannot be done. However, exclusive lock can be placed. Once exclusive lock can be placed, as we know, we learned that, okay, because of update or something, it's placed exclusive. But that doesn't mean that right away the operation will start. Okay, so operation, let's say it's updating something, so X is placed. But if it's right here, if a stability lock is there, X has to wait to modify. Even though it has taken a say, I am the guy next in the line, I will do what I need to do since I have a X on that particular resource. But this guy is saying, okay, you can place X. I'm not preventing you to do that. I'm not preventing you to take the turn, but let me finish that. I'm not gonna let you modify anything, basically. However, you can go ahead and read, shared lock can come, and different transaction can come in and read the data and all that. But however, the compilation, when compilation is going on, you cannot basically modify the data. So the other next are lost up here mode is bulk update. Bulk update is sometimes it is much better if you're uploading a sensitive data and you do not want dirty reads to happen in your upload, or when you're uploading. It's always good idea to basically define that I am going to lock this table because I'm basically inserting a lot of bulk operation is going on. I'm inserting a lot of data in this table, so I'm going to go ahead and lock this table for a particular period of time. So I'm going to go ahead and place a lock called BU, that is bulk update. So as I said, that my drawing is pretty bad, really, but I thought that this is mandatory to make you understand what's going on back behind the scene. It is important for any DBA to understand the lock resources, lock modes, why things happen, because sometimes it's a production. You don't want to kill an operation thinking that, oh, okay, it's update log, there are so many update logs and I'm getting into performance hit, so let me kill this operation or process. Don't get into that. Please understand the locking in SQL Server before you do anything as far as locking goes. So let's go back to our up here. As I said that we went through the overview of resource types, we went through the overview of locking modes, and we went through the resources and modes in detail. Let's go ahead and look on a live database to find that what are the locking and what kind of locks we see. So I'm going to go ahead and into my SQL Server. And we will see that what kind of locks. I just wanted to show you that when you run a command to see the locks, what kind of locks you will see. So I'm going and connecting with my management studio. I'm going to go ahead and connect with my SQL production. As you can see, there are a lot of. I'm going to go ahead and the command is sp-lock, just so that you know that if I run this, you will see, as you can see right here, the modes. Okay, the modes is shared, schema stability, compilation. Right now this doesn't have many locks, so let's try any other database where we can have. I don't have many really locks going on, so wanted to run into up here. As you can see, the type is database, and here is a table type. These are the resources basically. So Up here is a schema stability lock. So basically, if you wanted to look at the locks, and we went through the locks up here, you just run sp_lock and you will see that what you have learned. Basically, I would encourage you to, once you understand the concept behind the scene, go ahead and run sp_lock on your test, UAT or dev, and see that what kind of mode you get and what kind of type up here you get, to see that you know what kind of lock is. That'll make you understand a bit more about locking. All right, so that's it. That's I hope that this video really helps, because I want everybody to understand that what's locking in SQL Server is quite a hot topic. Everybody has written a lot of stuff about it, but understanding what's going back behind the scene is much more important. I hope this video helps.